In the studio with me live is the one and only Looka. What's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
I feel fantastic, man. Thanks for having me.
You have a voice for radio.
Yeah, and a face for radio, too.
Yeah, you got a voice for radio, a face for radio, and, man, I am just happy to have you here this morning.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Feels good.
Thank you for waking up with us early this morning. Do you normally get up this early?
No. No, I don't.
So you're the type of individual that has long nights, right? Late afternoons.
Occasionally, yes.
So what's going on in Lookalay's world, man?
Right now, man, my world is just kind of doing music and going through day-to-day life, just trying to enjoy every moment that I can. You know, spend time with friends, try to travel a little bit, and, you know, try to stay out of trouble.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I have followed your story for a very long time. But not only that, I've also had an opportunity to get to know you over the years, too.
Yeah.
Because you competed in my talent show, the Next Big Thing talent show, back in, 2004, 3? What year was that?
It's got to be like, 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was way back when. But when that happened, I really got a chance to get to know you more. And then we also started doing a couple shows together. You were featured on some of my shows that we did. So over the years, I have followed your career. And I really, though, when I was thinking about it last night, thinking about when I was kind of like putting our interview together, I really haven't had a chance to just sit down and talk to you. So that's going to be our purpose this morning, is to sit down and talk to you. We're going to get into the music too, so don't worry. For those of you watching us on Facebook Live or any of our sites like jlivent.com, or on television, channel 32.3, or on the radio, kfunradio.com, 92.5 FM, or our free app, KFun 92.5. So there's no reason you shouldn't be listening right now or watching us. But yeah, man, I was thinking about this last night, and I go, you know what? I just want to have a conversation with Looka. Now, a lot of people call you Scooter, right?
That's right. People call me Scooter. People who know me personally call me Scooter. Ironically, I was Scooter my whole life before I was ever in the wheelchair. So that's just a very ironic twist of fate. But, so if you know me personally, you probably call me Scooter or Looka sometimes. But Looka, is kind of my rap alter ego, I guess you could say.
So let's start from the beginning. You talked about how, ironically, you were called Scooter from back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to your childhood. You were born and raised Hanford, or where were you originally from?
Born and raised right here in Hanford.
Born and raised in Hanford.
Yeah.
Were you a part of a big family, small family?
No, I guess a medium family. I have one sister that's 10 years older than me. And then I have another sister that's 11 months younger than me. So me and that sister my younger sister, like, grew up kind of like everybody thought we were twins. She was a little smarter than me, so we ended up being in the same grade all growing up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but not a big family, but a very close family.
Okay,
definitely.
So you definitely have some good memories in your childhood, right? I mean,
absolutely,
the normal family gatherings. I mean, were you a family that ate dinner around the table?
I mean, sometimes around the table. I mean, holidays we definitely would we'd travel down south all the time, where and visit relatives down there, and everybody would get together every year. So those are kind of my bigger memories when I think of like really getting together for meals and stuff. But we were always so busy growing up. I was always either playing soccer or baseball. My sister was in cheerleading or dance or something else. So we were always running around. So it was really hard to during our adolescence and stuff, to really sit down around the table.
As a kid, what were you into? Like, were you into hip-hop at the time when you were a kid, or were you more into, like, the typical, Saturday morning cartoons, wrestling? What were you into?
My hugest thing when I was a kid was sports.
Oh,
and
okay.
When it came to music, I always really, really loved music, but I was more into what my parents listened to. I listened to Chicago and Journey and bands of that nature. and just was obsessed with sports and baseball. I can remember writing a report when I was a child, when I was like 9 years old, and saying that my favorite television show was Sports Center at the time. So, yeah, so it wasn't until the early 90s when I turned about 12, 13 that I really started falling into my love for rap and hip hop, and really fell in love with kind of the whole West Coast movement at the time, and became probably, I guess you could say, a little obsessed with the whole culture and everything about it.
You mentioned sports. I know you're a big Giants fan, right?
Huge Giants fan.
San
man.
Francisco Giants.
Yes, to a fault.
I just recently visited AT&T Park. I got to tell you, man, that place is awesome.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Most beautiful ballpark I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
I love being there. Just the way they set it right there in the China Basin. It's just beautiful atmosphere.
I mean, I've been to Wrigley, I've been to Fenway, but
I'm jealous
AT&T
of
Park
that.
is awesome. Is awesome.
So amazing.
One of a kind experience. But
Absolutely.
Back to your childhood, you mentioned Scooter, right?
Yes.
Why was the name Scooter given to you originally?
Okay, my dad actually used to call me Scooter the Shooter, the basketball star, like before I could even walk. Little did he know, I was like the shortest guy of all my friends until I hit like my junior year in high school. I think when I wrestled 103 pounds my sophomore year. So, I mean, just give you an idea of how tiny it was. So the basketball thing really never panned out. But that's actually how I got the name, how weird that is.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you were...
and it just stuck. I was always Scooter. I mean, my teachers called me Scooter. The only time I ever really used the name Mark, even to this day, is for government or official sort of things like that.
Is that your real name, Mark?
Yes, that is my real name, Mark.
I thought Scooter was like your legal name.
A lot of people don't know that. No, my real name is Mark.
Like
Yes.
literally, like how does Facebook allow you to have Scooter?
They just do, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? And when I fill those things out, I never even think of using the name Mark. And like if somebody yells Mark like randomly, I'm not even gonna look.
Would
'cause I
you
don't
be
think-
shocked if like somebody said, "Hey, Mark, what's up, man?"
I wouldn't even think they were talking to me, to be honest with you, because just nobody in regular day-to-day life ever calls me that. Nobody.
So you get the name Scooter, but you also mentioned that you were doing wrestling at the time of your sophomore year. 103 pounds?
Yes, I was a little guy, man.
Jeez.
I was a little guy back then. Yeah, and then by the time my senior year had hit, I was wrestling 152 pounds. So I
you
shot
definitely
up to like
beefed up.
6. Well, I shot up from when I got my license at 16. I was 5'5", and when I graduated, I was 6 foot tall. So, and that was in a span of about 2 years. So yeah, it just took me. I was a late bloomer, I guess you could say, in that regard.
Now, we're going to get into high school here because obviously some very significant moments in your life, if not one of the most significant moments in your life. Talk about your relationship with people in high school. I mean, were you kind of outgoing? I mean, were you the partier? Were you,
Yeah,
you know?
I was kind of all those things, to be honest. I was the jokester. I was voted senior class clown my senior year.
There you go.
And yeah, I definitely was into as soon as the wrestling season was over, I was, into the partying thing every year, kind of. And but no, I always had a really easy way to ability to meet people, and had a lot of friends in high school, and a lot of those friends I'm still really good friends with today, to be honest with you. I mean, I can show you group pictures of me on graduation day, and I mean, I stay in touch with 95% of the people in those group pictures still to this day. I mean, pretty regularly for the most part. So it's been real nice, and prelim into what we're about to talk about.
Yeah,
That's been a huge a huge foundation for me to be able to get through the personal things that I've had to overcome, is having that foundation of friends and family, like I talked about earlier, that were always kind of there to support me and never really making me having to go through anything too much on my own. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I've always felt like you've always had a strong support of people that have supported you. I mean, even just when you do shows. I mean, when you do shows, I feel like there's just a following that people just want to support you, and they sing to your songs, and it's just the whole thing. I've always seen that.
Yeah, I'm very blessed in that way, and I am. I'm completely understand and am aware of how lucky I am to have that in my life. And so it just feels good to have people, you know, that you can trust and talk to when you need to. And I have that in spades, and I feel like I'm very lucky for that.
No, that's awesome. So let's get right into it, man, because, you know, this was obviously the reason as to why you're currently in the wheelchair. So help me. I mean, I don't even know how much memory you have of that specific
I actually
time.
have a pretty good memory of it. Just 'cause
Guide me through it if you can.
Yeah, I will. I've recapped it over the years with the people involved in this story many times, and actually I'm doing a song that will explain the whole story here in a few months. But to walk you through it, basically we had graduated from high school. Me and most of my friends had graduated from high school 2 weeks prior. We were doing a little partying that day. I ended up over at my great friend Cecil's house, and there was a graduation party going out in the country, and we obviously couldn't drive. We had been having a few adult beverages.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, and so we talked to a girl and her friend, and they were going to pick us up. They were both sober. And so they came, they picked us up, and we were headed out to the country, and, you know, we were out on Denver Avenue, and the road, it just curves left, and she just missed the turn because there's no lighting out there, you know, really dark, and just missed the turn a little bit, and we ended up crashing into an orchard and flipping over quite a few times, and then it just kind of felt like chaos was kind of ensuing from there. And specifically what I remember is the car coming to a stop upside down, and I was the only one still in it. From what I remember, and the back windshield is kind of shattered but still intact, so I kind of break it out and crawl out, and that's when I realized, like, my legs aren't working, but at the time I'm thinking they're just broken. And I mean, your adrenaline's pumping like crazy, so I mean, at the time I'm not even really feeling any pain or anything. And I look back, and my buddy Cecil's like under the car's upside down, and he's sticking halfway out from under it. So I'm yelling back at him. He's not saying anything. He's unconscious. I don't know where the girls are at this time. They were both ejected, I believe. And luckily, there was a country house about a half mile down the road that either a fireman or a policeman or an EMT or somebody lived at, and they were having a party. And so there just happened to be like medical personnel on site.
Yeah.
And so they ended up getting to the scene first, and I just remember like 4 or 5 of these like really big guys like coming over and lifting this car and then pulling Cecil out from underneath, and you know, time's really kind of moving really fast at this point, and I'm yelling at Cecil to try to say something. He's not saying anything. I still don't know where the girls are, and then the helicopter's showing up, and I'm thinking they're gonna take Cecil. And I'm like, I start yelling like, man, my legs are broken, and next thing I know, I'm on the gurney, and they're loading me in the helicopter, and I'm like, oh man, this can't be good. So that's when the first time I kind of realized, like, oh, this has got to be like maybe more than a broken leg. And then they started like asking me questions and stuff, and within a matter of minutes, they had me shot up with like a steroid or something to try to prevent swelling. They kind of knew already that I'd broken my spine.
And this is in the helicopter?
This is in the helicopter, and then in a matter of minutes on the flight over, I kind of just blacked out, and then I didn't wake up. They had me like heavily medicated. I didn't wake up for kind of a couple days, and then even then it was like in and out. They had you on, you know, like a morphine pump. They had me on the whole time, so I was like in and out of kind of consciousness and drifting back and forth, and had a couple surgeries to repair my back, but it was about a week or so before I really started sinking in the severity of what was going on. And I mean, right from the get-go, I had just so many friends visiting, and the beautiful thing was my mom had gotten this book and had everybody who would come and visit and sign it and write things in it and stuff. And so I still have that book today, and every once in a while I'll I'll pull it out and read it, and it's just so humbling, to realize how many people were there from the get. And I mean, I can remember I never went more than a couple days, even after I was in the hospital, like for over a month, without somebody showing up to visit me. And that was a huge part of transitioning into what was going to be my new life, which at the time you want to hold hope out that some things will come back as far as feeling and stuff. And I'm extremely lucky. A lot of things did. Like, Joey, I have feeling all the way down to my right knee and my right leg and about mid-thigh and my left leg, and I have all my core and stuff for the most part. So, I mean, just that sets me apart from so many other people in wheelchairs, spinal cord injuries that I've met over the years, because they, a lot of them, I would say at least 75% or more are from about mid-chest up, down. And that just makes everything so much more difficult, from getting around and doing everything day to day. So I've been very blessed in that way, as well as being able to live as close to a normal life as a guy in a wheelchair can do. You know what I mean? So
no, and I appreciate you for sharing that story. I don't know how many times you've had to tell that story or whatever might be the case, and I know it's probably tough going back to those moments. It sounds very scary. I couldn't imagine, what you went through that time. But let me ask you a question. So you mentioned how you kind of started feeling the severity of things when you were at the hospital. Was it a specific, moment when a doctor comes in and says, "This is what's, you're going to be in a wheelchair"? How did that happen?
And it was a very very matter-of-fact doctor. It's the kind of thing that you understand. A doctor kind of comes numb to these situations, so he's just going to give it to you however it is. So he didn't sugarcoat it at all, and was like, you do have a small chance of gaining things back, but the chances are you'll probably be a paraplegic for the rest of your life. And that's a really tough pill to swallow 2 weeks out of high school, with plans on going to college and furthering my education and stuff. And
now that one, can you vividly remember that when he told you that?
Yes, that was the exact moment that, like, I can remember just kind of breaking down and it really sinking in, like, oh man, like this is really real. Because, like, in the back of my head, I kind of always was like, I'll be fine. I'll heal up. Like, it'll just take me a while, you know what I mean? But I'll heal up. But it really sunk in then when he told me that. And then after 13 days, I was moved to Valley Children's Hospital for rehab. And then it was once I got around all the other patients that were in rehab as well, and other spinal cord injuries, and I had a roommate who had spinal bifida and things like that, I was really like, okay, this is, there's really two ways I can go about this. I can be mad at the world and, just be grumpy and everything, or I can just, put my head down and try to make the best of this situation and get on with living life. And
and you embraced it.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
started to embrace and have an identity for yourself, into where now that's where we come full circle, where now Scooter became almost intact with your situation, because people are like, "Oh, look at Scooter. What's up, Scooter? How's it going?" Like, people embraced the fact that you were positive about it, which didn't make them feel weird about it. You know what I mean? So it became a whole thing where your attitude is what changed the course of your life.
No, absolutely. And I can specifically even remember a night where I was like, okay, I mean, you've just got to make the decision. And this is about probably 3 weeks into it. And I just remember deciding that day, and I can't lie. I mean, I've had some moments along the way that have really tested me as far as staying positive and trying to stay upbeat in situations. But for the most part, man, I've had a smile on my face and just such a gratefulness and appreciation for life and being able to do things and being able to travel. And I mean, it sounds cliche when people are saying, "Oh, I've had this like life-changing experience and it's made me appreciate life." But I mean, it truly did. It made me when you're fresh out of high school, I mean, you're just still a kid. You don't really know anything, and you're not focused on like, you know, life itself and how precious it is. So I really had to do a lot of growing up very, very quickly in that regards, as far as personally. So, but I specifically remember making that decision, and I feel like it was the greatest thing I've ever done.
Well, and I got to tell you, that's what I admire about you the most. I mean, you went through all of this. You know, it could have gone really bad for you as far as your mentality. And like you said, you've struggled with it. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have those bad days. But for the most part, I would say most of your, you know, since the time that I've known you, you've been a positive guy.
No, absolutely. And I kind of gravitate to that too. Like, I find myself wanting to be around other people who feel the same way, and when I'm around people who aren't that way and kind of seem to have like a negative outlook on life, I just feel like a bad vibe already, and kind of just don't want to be around that, because I feel like it can really rub off on you, and to me, I just feel like my dad used to always say, you know, everything in life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you perceive it and react to it. So my idea was, you know, I'm going to take that 90% and try to be as positive as I can with it, as much as I can. You know what I mean?
I love that.
And to me, that's just what's probably kept me going as long as I have. You know what I mean?
I love that quote. And, you know, there's so much I want to talk to you about, but I know we have limited time here this morning. So I'm going to kind of fast forward to how music has helped you with that positivity. Because I remember vividly, you know, just being in high school, I remember vividly seeing you around town, and you would rap, you know, around people, and you'd freestyle, and you did the whole thing. Talk to me a little bit about that, and you know, how music was important in your positivity.
Well, you know, I'd already been infatuated with the rap culture and the music, and had been you know, rapping and even writing songs, although I'd never recorded anything. But it wasn't until the accident happened that I kind of really got serious about writing music, and I just felt like the music was just a way for me to, an outlet of, I always had sports before that, you know what I mean, to turn to when I needed an outlet for something, and being in the chair, I'm not saying you can't play sports or anything, but you just you don't have the same opportunity. You can't roll up and play a pickup game at Lacey, you know what I mean, in the chair. So I kind of just turned to music, and that was just, you know, just like a breath of fresh air for me. Like whenever I could rap and say what was on my mind, it just made me feel good and kind of alive inside, and it was kind of always like that. And so I did a lot of things there for about 8 years or so doing music, and then I got a little older and kind of fell out of it, and then I went through kind of a lot of stuff last year that left me you know, in bed for quite a bit of time, and it was kind of that personal tragedy.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But let me get back to music real quick, because there's a couple songs that you did during that time when you were up and coming and just trying to, like, you know, put out some music. And a lot of people remember you from a lot of these songs. Here's one of them that I'm going to play real quick. This one's called Champion. Do you remember this one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was a song my buddy Kindred made this beat out of he chopped up a song from the Rocky soundtrack, man. So I felt like Champion just went along perfect with this.
I remember hearing this song and it getting me pumped up.
Yeah.
I'm looking lame and that rap phenomenon. It's like I'm fucking the rap.
That, like, I really enjoyed this song, but it was also a theme that was played for, like, Hanford High School, right, or something like that?
No, this one wasn't. That was actually a song I did called the Bullpup Anthem.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so you wrote something separately.
Yeah, I did a song. A group of the football players specifically asked me, and I wrote a song called the Bullpup Anthem, and I think they play it now still at the at the games.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But this one was cool, though, too, Champion.
Yeah, this was a good one. Yeah, I really liked this one.
What was, like, the mentality behind this song for you?
This song was just kind of going back to kind of what we've been talking about, was just about having the attitude of a champion and not letting any sort of life's trials and tribulations put yourself in a position that you can't overcome, you know what I mean?
I like this verse.
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned the Rocky thing, though, because that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. It's it, but it's just kind of chopped up into a beat and added like some different drums to it. But yeah,
You also had one that's called 559 Ways.
559 Ways to Get Paid, man. This was another track also made by Kindred. This was kind of my opening song to my third album. Yeah.
Like, when you listen to this stuff right now on the radio, are you kind of like...
It's been a while.
It's reminding you of those times?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Valley, which just happens to be right in the middle of Cali. From that Nick, Nina, born and raised. I got 559 ways to get paid. Multiple hustles can lead to multiple struggles.
Shows how cool I am. I was like, 559 ways to get paid?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it kind of that's
559 ways.
Yeah, that's how we
Trent.
say it, but that's what it came from, was 559 Ways. And I actually did a song on my very first mixtape in the year 2000 with a buddy, and we called it 559 Ways to Get Paid, and this was kind of like a rendition of it.
I like it, man. And this was off the third album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
We're live, so I like Looka looking out for me, because you said there was some cuss words, so
A couple,
we didn't want to play
I just
that.
want to make sure we get the right inserts in there, yeah.
All right, so talk about your new venture in music now, man. Let's talk about where we're going.
Okay.
What's going to happen? What can people expect with the new venture for Looka?
Okay, so, well, to tell you what happened was I was still doing shows all the way up until like 2014, 2015 even, maybe, I think. But I hadn't put out any new music since 2008. And last year I actually acquired a bone infection, man. And by the time I ended up having 4 surgeries in a matter of 2 weeks, and by the time they were done, I had this massive hole in the back of my leg.
Oh my goodness.
And I ended up spending 214 days on my stomach last year in a row. Yeah, and so like not even a year ago at this time, I was still waiting to have my final surgery. I didn't get out of the hospital till November 9th last year. So during those 214 days, you got a lot of time on your hands, man. You just staying on your stomach all day. I was allowed to get up a couple times a day for a half hour at a time to get something to eat and go to the bathroom if I needed to. I was able to take a shower a couple times a week.
So are you saying at this point, let's just say before this injury happened, right, you were kind of done with music?
I kind of was done with music. I really was. And
so this
I'm a little older now, you know what I mean? And but I had other things going on in my life. So this definitely is the only reason that I really got back into music. And most of the songs coming on this new album were written during that time.
A blessing in disguise, really, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it really was able to consume hours of my days, you know what I mean, moving forward. That was so huge. When you just have all that time on your hands, the last thing you want to do is just be stuck there with your thoughts, you know what I mean? So anything you can do, I really tried to educate myself on my situation as much as I could, read as much literature on my current medical situation and the importance that personal health plays into wounds and things like that I have to deal with being in the chair. And from that stemmed all this new music that I'm doing. And
there was one specifically that you wrote called This Life.
Yes, This Life. And I talk a little bit about being in the hospital, but majority I wrote that entire song while I was actually in the hospital. A lot of that time, I spent 41 of those 214 days in the hospital. The other, I was at home on, they were sending nurses to my house every other day to change my wound dressings or whatever. But yeah, that song was just the first one I wrote when I got back into it, and was just about, you know, persevering and not letting anything, you know, hold you back.
You're going to do this live for us right now here live on the show, right?
I can do it for
All right,
you. Yeah,
a
I'm
special
ready.
treat for everybody watching, everyone listening. Looka live in the studio. This one is called This Is Life, right? Or
This Life.
This
This
Life.
Life.
This Life. And this is going to be off the new album, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so this is an exclusive here.
An exclusive, never before heard.
All right, here we go.
This is just beat my voice, yeah. Yeah. So, you know, like we were just talking, Joey, it's just crazy to think that a year ago, you know, I was still laid up. So just sitting right here is just a beautiful feeling for me. And I'm just really happy to be here, man. I won't stop provoking thoughts with a little bit of potent. Yeah, get my mind right under the moonlight. It's time me and I had an open talk. Talking about having talk of myself to come to grasp with the fact I ain't walking so well. So when it feels like I've been walking through hell, I tell myself that it'll be okay even when I know it's not. When you're so distraught and you really feel like all hope is lost, stay optimistic. Screw those statistics, keep it pushing and ignore the odds. Only one life, don't blow your shot. Try to savor all the seconds that a moment's got. Turn them all into frozen thoughts and make time stand still like a broken watch. So crazy, it makes me think and ponder to back when I felt like I could not go on much longer, but I dug deep and I fought back, and it only made me stronger. Now I feel blessed and I'm grateful. This life I will not squander. I love a little stroll on a Sunday, driving down the road in the country, reminiscing, and it's so lovely. Soul searching can be so humbling. I often think, have I done enough? Have I touched many lives that have showed me love? But did I just run amok? Spent the last 20 years in a blurry haze drunk as that's the type of stuff I think about. But that don't matter and I see it now. Yeah, I need to focus on the future and the joy that I bring to the people that I be around. Right? Life is what you make it, so take it by the horns, and we were born for being loud. And even when I'm defeated and metaphorically bleeding, I let my light shine, see it now. It's crazy, it makes me think and ponder the back when I felt like I could not go on much longer. But I dug deep and I fought back, and it only made me stronger. Now I feel blessed and I'm grateful. This life I'm absorbing life and all of its lessons. Use them to navigate through all of the messes. I think of my wound, all of its dressings. So each day I wake up, I count on my blessings. We just assume we'll be home in a bit. Don't think of death, yeah, we're so close to it. My homie was murdered and thrown in the ditch. So believe me, this world, it don't know you. Shh. I could tell you all about it, how I lost every bit of faith and doubted. But I dug deep for inner strength and found it. Now I fear nothing, yet I'm grounded. It's hard not to feel like a curse is near. It's time for another blood test, the nurse is here. Trying hard not to burst in tears. I had the worst freaking year, but I persevered. I'm here, Joey. Yeah. This life. I'm absorbing life and all of its lessons. I'm absorbing life and all of its lessons. Yeah. Woo.
Man,
That felt good, Joey. That felt good.
that was awesome, man.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
That felt good.
Special performance here live on the show, and it almost like made me feel like I was with you in the hospital room, man. Like you were. There was some frustration I heard in there too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and that just goes back to music being an outlet. You know what I mean? If I can hone any frustration or adversities that I have and only deal with them in that way when I'm doing music and expressing them like that, then then I'm going to be in a good place in every other aspect of my
So
life.
let's go to the positive approach of what people need to be understanding from your message right now. If you're out there right now, and let's just say you might be in a wheelchair like Looka, you might have some type of issue that's holding you back, or you think it's holding you back. What do you want to say to people that are listening right now that may have a disability, that have a similar story, or maybe something familiar with your story as well? What do you want to say to them right now?
What I'd like to say, and not just the people who have disabilities, because everybody has their own certain hardships, and everybody's going to be going through their own certain things. But just try to remember that we live here in America, so we automatically are more advantageous than 90% of the rest of the world. We have access to things, and just try to really embrace everything in life. Embrace the good moments, learn from the bad moments, and try to better yourself from that, and just know that there's always something out there. Right now there's so many resources for no matter what you're going through, whether it's mental issues, physical issues, anything. Get on the internet, do some research. I guarantee you can find some sort of group. If you don't already have a great support system, you can find people out there that can help you with this, whatever you're going through, and just try to enjoy life and just be as happy as you can, and touch as many people in a positive way as you can, because that's kind of what I'm trying to do, and that's kind of what my mission in life from this point is just to see how many lives I can touch in a positive way, and really make the people that I love and care about feel like I've given them as much as I feel like they've given me.
You're an inspiration, man. You're an inspiration for keeping positive, especially with what you're dealing with, and now providing music out there and outlets for people to listen to.
Thank you so much.
You want to premiere your single?
I do.
This is it. This is going to be the top single from the album.
This is going to be the new single. The first actual recorded full song is called Hiatus. It'll be off the mixtape coming up in Hiatus. We're filming a video this weekend, and the single, and will be on all digital formats, the video and the actual audio, next Saturday the 15th.
All right.
And I'll be promoting that this week as well.
So we'll play a quick clip here really quick of Hiatus. This is the new single, and then you and I can talk about what it's about after the clip. Here we go.
All right.
The handicap honky has returned. I missed you guys. I'm back. Yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, it feels good. It's like riding a bike. Better never doubt it, I still could. Rock back the elements of rap, just like a gorilla with steels would. That earth, that fire, that air, that water, that motherfucker real wood. The game has changed. I ain't wrote a song since Kanye was still good. Some things remain the same, cause I still be off that kill kush. Tell me what the fuck happened. What's all this mumble racket? Can't stand the radio anymore, you sorry suckers, suck at rapping. Yeah, put aside all alliteration, focus on all the innovation. When I wheel on stage with a microphone, you all up in amazement, calling me the greatest. Don't get it twisted, I handle my business, and even though I put it down, the reason I picked up this pen was for no one but me and my fam in my town. I took a hiatus, I know you missed me, so let me say hi haters, cause I've been listening. Your gun's been gyrating, that is risky, cause look at lace back, and a matter of fact, I age like whiskey.
I like it. I like that. It's a little tease because you're going to premiere it on the 15th, right?
That's right, yeah.
Awesome. I like the beat. I like the hook.
Yeah, that beat is made from a guy that I did some songs with on my very first album 20 years ago, man, named Jedi out of Fresno, man.
Now, you mentioned something about the new rappers. This is coming to light just recently, really quick before we go, because Eminem just came out with his new album, Kamikaze, in which he attacked a lot of the new rappers in the game. And specifically, one rapper responded back to him, which was MGK.
I think this whole thing is fantastic, to be honest with you.
So now
I love it.
We got a little resurgence of hip-hop going on here. Real hip-hop.
I love it. And to be fair, I actually wrote this song months ago, so I'm not jumping on the wagon here, to be fair. But No, yeah, I love that.
So before you go, who do you got in this battle, MGK or Eminem?
Man, right now, just going from what I've heard so far, I have to give it to MGK. He just killed that thing the other day, man. It was so personal, and the difference is he did dedicate a whole song where I think M just kind of hit him with one verse, but I hear that M's going to be dropping a response today sometime.
Ooh, I'm excited.
So, yeah.
All right, man. Hey, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank
on
you so
the
much
show
for
this
having
morning.
me, Joey. I really
appreciate it. Hip hop on a classic rock station, but it's more
That's right.
it's more about a local guy who is doing something great with his life. And
Yeah.
once again, we appreciate you for being here.